So we begin this process of transformation, of moving from one way of leading this community to another. It's a natural thing. It was bound to happen. There's a woman in the room whose husband had a stroke back when we were in the cornfield. Yet he came to the dinner the night that we were gathering to talk about building this place. And with his walker, he stood up in the back, and he wanted us all to know that we were not building this place for the people we would find in Asheville, which is basically all of you. We were building it for the people that would find this teaching in 100 years. And that changed my whole scope. And it actually took a burden off me, which said that we only have to carry it to a point, and then others will carry it. And it's all perfect, and it's unfolding exactly the way it must. So today, you have the blessing of our first candidate. And our first candidate is Reverend Marcia MacLean. Marsha is very, very connected to this center. She actually found us in 1997 in a place we called the cornfield. Now, she found religious science, or the science of mind, 11 years before that. Where she did that, I have no idea, but when she showed up for us, she brought a great light into our community. She studied with Barbara, because Barbara was teaching classes back then, and followed Barbara all the way to this place, and was a member of the very first ministerial class. In fact, the only ministerial class that Barbara taught as the minister of this center. And out of that, she was ordained. And she, of the 7 who were ordained that day, back in Celeste, 2002? 2001. I could have asked you, I guess. The only one that is actually a licensed minister in our international movement. That says a lot. That says it was something that she was destined to follow and be a part of. And as life is, the circle of life brings her back to us today to share her life, to share her wisdom, and to share her thoughts about being the leader of this community. There's other things that we have talked about, so I will include them in these thoughts. She has served several centers in Washington State, in Florida, in North Carolina, South Carolina, and British Columbia. Right now, she lives in Greenville, South Carolina, with her husband, Rick, who is a practitioner in our movement and a New Thought musician. Marsha's personal mission is to teach, speak, write, sing, facilitate, and lead in the awakening of humanity for its spiritual magnificence, possibility, and purpose. This is a big day for our center, and I'm really glad you're here to join in it as I welcome Reverend Marcia MacLean to come share with us.
Good to see you here. Woo! Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm starting with an icebreaker. If you look at my slide that I made a little while back, obviously our topic this morning is springtime for the soul, making room for new adventures. And if you look at that image of that mind with all that extra stuff flying out of it, that's what we're going to clean up today. That's what we're going to clean up, because that is the gateway to accessing those possibilities and the adventures that await. So I'm so glad you're here with me this morning to join in this wonderful time. Can you feel it? Spring is springing, not just out there, but in here and within all of us. So let me find the perfect spot for that. Okay, there it is. So, of course, I said, I'm talking about spring cleaning for the soul, making room for new adventures. And springtime is, as I said, full of examples of cleaning out and clearing up and making way for new experiences everywhere we look. It could be your eager neighbor who rakes their yard faster than you or sooner than you. The someone next door who cleans out their garage before you do. Or you could just be excited and motivated by that essence. It's in the air. It's so palpable that you feel inspired yourself to clean something out, to clear something up, to make room for what's next. I love this time of year because it's so easy to capitalize on that energy, even if some of us are a little sluggish, right? We overcome that really quick. So it's an opportunity to access new possibilities. And of course, the truth of the matter is there's no such thing as a new possibility, but it's new to us when we discover it. I thought a lot about the fact that I would be preaching to the choir this morning. You all know what that means. You're here most likely, if I'm not mistaken, because you've been here before. You're here possibly as someone who's taken at least one, if not several classes in this teaching. So when I quote Ernest Holmes today, I know I'm preaching to the choir. And yet, you know what I think? I think the reason that I come back every week is because even though I might feel like I know everything on Sunday, I start to forget a little on Monday and Tuesday. By Wednesday, I need a midweek something or other. I might start, my behavior included, might default a little bit. So we come back and we obviously talk about things that are, one, universally true, and two, something we've heard before, because somebody said repetition is the first part of learning. We repeat it. Because we need to, because we want to. We want to know it better. We want to really get it because we know there are adventures. There are possibilities and adventures on the other side of that knowing. And like Cliff said, sometimes we get to push through the fear to get to the goods, to get to the free, but it is worth it. It is so worth it. So here's me going off script because I love this stuff and it's so inspiring. So, Ernest Holmes, one of the things that he says is that nature waits upon man's discovery. So if we want those adventures, what are we going to need to do? Well, I have a feeling, I don't know if your mind ever looks like that, or if you want to be more comfortable talking a metaphor, how about your attic or your garage or your garden beds or the room where you like to meditate or create in? Whatever it is, if there's space in your life that's a mess, then there's a chance that it's hard to see those possibilities. It's nearly impossible to make those discoveries. So this cleaning out and clearing up thing is so that we can discover those possibilities, which may seem new to us, or we may be like, oh, there that is. Oh my God, I thought I'd never see that again. So in some way, I guess what I'm selling this morning is the worthiness of cleaning out and clearing up so that we can make those discoveries or rediscoveries of what is possible and get on with living those adventures. So there are a few things that are going on right now at this time of year. When I was anticipating coming here, I have to tell you, I was anticipating February topics. I was anticipating March topics. Then I'm anticipating April topics. And not only was I getting really flexible, but I was just so ready to be up here and share with you. It's kind of funny. But here's a few of the things on the menu for the month of April. We have some spiritual traditions going on. Some Christians they're nearing the end of their period of a Lenten fast, which means that they're choosing to let go of something that's no longer serving them until, from Ash Wednesday all the way to Easter Sunday. That's a Christian thing. Ramadan just began. Was it today or yesterday? I forget. But at sundown in a very recent time frame. And that's real fasting throughout each day. And even if neither of those is your tradition, it is true for each of us that we often deliberately choose to release something in order to make room for something more, something better. And of course, what we do here is we operate at the level of mind. And we know that when we clean that up, then we can see that, we can have those, right? So here's what else is going on. There are seasonal traditions, like I said, of cleaning out garden beds. Some of you I know are avid gardeners. That's what you've been doing. You're out there digging in the dirt, getting dirt under your fingernails and getting in touch with the earth and the possibilities of, you might have already planned long ago what you're going to put in those beds. Now is the time to actually sow those seeds and to do that. So you might be doing that. Others of you might be cleaning out a garage or a workshop. Or maybe you're cleaning out something else that you realize you just haven't used in a while, and it's connected to who you are, and it's time to clean it up. The other thing that's going on are environmental traditions. We have Earth Day coming up. So some people might be participating in cleaning up some of the walking trails, right? Maybe they're really industrious, because I see this occasionally in Greenville, and cleaning out, getting the shopping carts out of the river, right? Or maybe you're helping to clean along the pathways that allow you to walk beside it. Maybe you volunteered to be part of a crew that's cleaning up a stretch of roadway. You see? All of nature is renewing itself. And because that's our nature too, we're called to our own experiences of renewal. Now, in one rendition of this talk, I wrote, uh-oh. Right? Because not all of these things are wonderful. It's not like, oh, it was the perfect day. I listened to my favorite music. I cleaned the garage, and it looks great. Sometimes our experiences of renewal that we're drawn to, we kind of go kicking and screaming. We didn't plan on them. They might scare us. They might put us in a little bit of fear. They are all for our greater good. One way or another, we get emptied out to make room for something new. I like to sing too, and I thought of like 95 songs to go with my talk today. And so one of them is from Daniel Namad, and it's called Empty Hands. And one of the lines in there says, sometimes a vessel must be emptied to put something better there, right? So I'm going to lift up from that, because that song is about going through the tough stuff, and Cliff so beautifully brought us through the fear to free. Let's hang out over here for the moment. Because as I said, this is a time of inspiration. So about the soul, I think a lot of you know this already. Again, if you've been around, if you've taken a class, of course we have this spiritual overarching idea of soul. We also have the human aspect of it, the point of experience in it. That's me, that's you, right? I'm sorry, I'm recognizing all my Facebook friends out there. Hi. So the personal aspect of soul is the accumulation of every thought and feeling and experience and impression about it and belief that we've formed about it and every memory we've ever had. And it's mixed in there with the truth of all life and our being. And as you can imagine, it's kind of like a salad dressing, because it doesn't always mix, which is a good thing. Because what's not true, we want that to come up to the surface, and we go, whoa, skim it off and let it go. Let it go. What happens, though, and I learned this from Barbara in class, is memory is creative. Today's thought, have you heard this? Becomes tomorrow's memory, and memory is creative. Because all that stuff, all those impressions, all those things that we think about, all those thoughts and perceptions that we had that become our memories, they got the same address as the law of cause and effect. They're in the creative medium. They're like live in adjoined townhouses on the same street. And unfortunately, we can't just put in a request and say, is it possible that we could keep my memories away from that creative stuff? It's not an option. right? And so that's one of the conditions of our freedom is, guess what? You can think of whatever you want. You can perceive however you like. And you know what? Something is going to happen as a result of that. There's no way around it. So if all of nature is renewing itself, and our access to our adventures, our possibilities and the adventures that go with them is discovery, so we want to get some clarity, what might we clear up? Possibly that. There's no changing its proximity to the creative medium. There is changing what it's made up of, right? So there are lots of ways you can do this, right? Like I said, sometimes this clearing out happens like by surprise, and it can seem involuntary. It's not when you would have been most convenient for it to happen for you. And still, if you look, you realize, my God, now that I look back, the timing is perfect. Look who I am now. Look where I am now. Oh, my goodness. Sometimes, you know what gives me inspiration and comfort? Instead of thinking, oh, I'm a weirdo, has a strange belief system that like nobody else gets, I think, right? I see a lot of smiling and nodding. We're going to work on that. What an extraordinary time to be alive on planet Earth. I may have to learn a new language, but I think this stuff is useful right now. It doesn't just help me. It could help a lot of people if I can just get over maybe a fear of talking to other people about it, right? So I said that it's like all of nature is renewing itself. Well, here's what else. I think it's like Mother Nature saying, it's time to clean your room. It's time to clean your room. Or clean your room. No, but we're free, so I think it's an option. It's a choice. And I want to tell you a little story about that. I probably don't need these, but they make me feel all comfortable knowing they're near. So I want to tell you a little story about cleaning my room. I was about 4 years old, maybe 5, no older, and the youngest of 4. I'm the baby of the family, sharing a room with one of my 2 sisters. And I was a messy kid. I was so busy with all my imaginary games, I left messes everywhere. And my sister tried everything that she could think of to get me to clean up after myself, and it didn't work. It didn't work. I was just in my own world, and I left a little trail everywhere I went. Then one day, she said, and by the way, her last attempt was to take everything I own and pile it up on top of my bed, teddy bears, dolls, books, shoes, clothes, everything, and my little red rocking chair right on the top, because she thought if I can't get in bed, maybe I'll change. No, not at all. I probably just pushed it aside and went to sleep. So one day she said, hey, let's play a game. Do you want to go to Paris like Madeline does in your favorite book? And I said, yes, I do. I do want to go to Paris like Madeline. She said, well, if we're going to go to Paris like Madeline, we're going to have to clean up our flat so that we can sublet it to somebody so we can go on our trip. I believed her. I just bought that hook, line, and sinker. And so every time since then, she doesn't ask me anymore. I was all in for going to Paris, right? So a couple things happened from that. She offered me an adventure, and suddenly I was all in. I did it, and I had adventures. And one of the things is that I became a really tidy person. In fact, when I go on a trip, even if, like you're going to pull the socks out of the dryer and you could just put them in the suitcase, I have to put them away and then take them down and then put them in the suitcase. I mean, it's almost a problem, but I actually had a very, very illustrious career picking up after the rich and famous on private yachts all over, including in France, but of course Paris, that's not the seashore. And one of the best things that brings it all back to here today is that the last job that I had that was in the Mediterranean, I demonstrated that in a class at this center. Now, it was in the cornfield, and it was 1998, I think. I'm not sure. Spring of 98, we were guessing. And guess what? We were doing a class on spiritual mind treatment. Edwene Gaines had just been by, and I told Edwene that I had a couple grudges. There's one nasty guru and an ex-fiance, and this one I just made me never want to meditate again. I had a grudge. And this one owed me money from a business investment, and I had like these gold-plated or brass-dipped resentments. And she, of course, said, I invite you to get off of that. And to do forgiveness work, right? That's spring cleaning. That's good cleaning any time of year. So I was doing forgiveness work. I was doing spiritual mind treatment for prosperity. I was setting clear and attainable goals. And I was even doing a special kind of treatment where I intentionally said, everything that is not the truth of me. Now, okay, this is a bathroom trick. When you shower or bathe, goes down the drain, back to the infinite for a new assignment. The phone rang when I was doing that, and the job offer to go work in the Mediterranean came so vast, I had to pay my roommate to pack up my things. I couldn't even give 2 weeks' notice. My income was quadrupled, and when I got back, which was shortly before all of this construction and moving here happened, I got my business investment back with interest. Okay? This stuff works. This stuff works. So Mother Nature says, clean your room. So my thought is that even though the invitation or the admonition sometimes to clean your room, to clean your consciousness, might sound like clean your room and you want to rebel. Just remember, just like Cliff said on the other side of that, fear is free. Well, on the other side of cleaning out the room of your mind, and yeah, the spaces too, because they're all connected, right, is possibility, is the discovery of those possibilities, is adventure. We know we really can't get away with holding on to the old and still grabbing a hold of the new. We get this part in between. I don't know about you, but I've been in it lately. I'm sure that this is complete, but I have no idea as what's next. And I know I am supposed to embrace the mystery. Just am. That's part of the deal. And eventually, in time, when the new you is fully formed, the new life for you reveals itself, and you reveal it yourself to it. I want to be a part of that. I'm part of that. So here's what I think. I think even though clean your consciousness can sound a lot like clean your room, give it some thought. Give it a try. Why not start today? I'll tell you why it's a good idea. Because your adventures await. And guess what? The world out there, the world is waiting for you to live your adventures. The world is waiting for you to deliver the gifts that only you can deliver by following your dreams and experiencing your adventures. So when you're invited to clean your consciousness, this is what I want you to say. Yes, I'm all in. And so it is.